The average price of a Premier League ticket is £125, which is a lot heavier than I thought it would be. But seriously, at any top European league, it will cost you over $100 to get a decent ticket to a decent game. But there is one club that is taking a completely different, paradigm-shifting approach to matchday revenue that will allow them to pilot a program in which their tickets are completely free. Not some of their tickets, not just a giant discount, not some sort of giveaway. Every ticket for home and away fans for their game free. And even though it's starting as a pilot program, their stated goal is for every ticket to be free for every single one of their games. And of course, this is happening in Germany, land of the wonderful 50+1 share rule that already guarantees that one person can't just take over a club. We've done videos like this one and this one about how that can go so horribly wrong. And the actual place that it is happening in Germany is another great indication of how usually healthy the German clubs are relative to their peers. Because this mystery club is not even in the Bundesliga. This mystery club is in the second division of Germany and is a team that was rather recently relegated from the Bundesliga. But as you'll come to find out later, that is actually what makes this possible for a whole bunch of convoluted reasons. Because of course the club is not actually giving up on money. It's just taking a different approach on how to get that money. The club itself is Fortuna Dusseldorf, and their plan actually makes a lot of sense. Let's start with the biggest concern. If you offer tickets for free in your Fortuna Dusseldorf, you are losing out on a huge amount of matchday income. Now that is a huge part of financial earning power for clubs. For Fortuna Dusseldorf in particular, it's about 20% of their total income, which, if you take away 20% of my total income, I wouldn't be able to get such a nice looking haircut. And around the world, the impact of lost matchday revenue was felt dramatically during the COVID-19 pandemic, which highlighted how insane it is to give away tickets for free. Now, according to Deloitte, the Premier League alone lost £1.6 billion in revenue because of the COVID-19 pandemic, which removed fans from stands. Even the individual club impact of just lost matchday revenue was staggering. In this Sporting News article that breaks down Arsenal's finances, Arsenal claims to have gone from £100 million in matchday revenue to £5.1 million in matchday revenue in a 12-month period. That is a 12-month loss of £95 million in matchday revenue. Now granted, that's not even a fifth of what Todd Boehly has spent in the previous January transfer window, but it's still a lot of money. It's in fact an absolutely massive FFP destroying amount of money to be giving away willingly. So then why on earth are they doing it? And what is that clever plan they have to recoup their money and maybe even make more money than they were before? Well, the club's chief executive, Alexander Jobst, told Rory Smith of the New York Times, "We think this is a completely new idea." Really? We were trying to think about how we could do the soccer business completely different from before. And this Guardian article details exactly how this is going to work. You register on a platform to be part of a ticket draw, which will be held for 3 home games in the pilot program next season, and the cost will be covered by the sponsors. That is the genius and kind of confusing catch here for Fortuna Dusseldorf, is that they're taking the internet approach to funding their actual matchday income. Now, you watch this YouTube video, unless you're paying for YouTube Premium, for free. The cost of the production of this content and the livelihood of myself and my editors is covered by the advertisers so that you can enjoy it for free. Fortuna Dusseldorf is now looking at matchday revenue in tickets to games in the same way. Kind of genius. And it also is why a pilot program for this in 3 home games next season makes sense, because it is hard to guarantee or predict the return on investment for the advertisers that will be investing in the program. And the amount of money sponsors would need to pay if they wanted to do this over a full season is $8.8 million. That's the average season matchday revenue that Fortuna Dusseldorf is able to generate, and that is not chump change. They would need to offset that with sponsorship investment. It's essentially a gamble. But it's a gamble that Fortuna Dusseldorf says has already paid off. The club announced that it had signed a 5-year, $45 million deal with 3 different partners that was a sponsorship of this program. Now, I suck at math, but $45 million over 5 years.
2 very boring minutes later.
Is $9 million a year, which is already more than they were making on their matchday revenue without this sort of deal. That's obviously an unfair calculation though, because Fortuna Dusseldorf is in the second division, and it is on track to finish in the top 6 in the second division for the second consecutive season, which means at some point over the next 5 years, promotion is fairly likely for a club that was recently in the Bundesliga in the first place, a promotion that would significantly increase prospective matchday income if they weren't giving their tickets away for free. And that's why Jobst says that they need more sponsorship to be able to actually offer free tickets for every game the way that they would hope to do in the future. He told The Guardian as much. In order to be able at the end to offer all home games for free, we need more long-term partners to join us on this path, which I must say is an incredibly well-worded diplomatic sentence. Now, the potential impact of this sort of change could be massive, and Jobst seems to know that. He even described the idea as disruptive, and of course, if they do manage to pull off offering an entire season ticket for free, then that's going to make every other club look greedy for charging if it's possible to not. But there are some very important caveats around Fortuna Dusseldorf that make it a lot more possible for Fortuna Dusseldorf than other clubs. Because for one, their vision does not actually include removing all matchday income, because there is a lot more money spent during a match day than just on the ticket. Beer, food, merchandise. So I technically lied to you, because they're not giving up all of their matchday income. They're just giving up the tickets. And for Fortuna Dusseldorf in particular, this could be a very good business decision, because Fortuna Dusseldorf is in a big city, Dusseldorf. And it also has a big stadium it used to use to play in the Bundesliga, 54,000 people. But right now in the second division, the average attendance is 29,000, which is good for a second division club, but there is a lot more room for expansion. Being in a big city with a lot of population, a lot of commercial opportunities, and already having a big stadium that you can essentially double your attendance and food sales and alcohol sales and everything by offering free tickets is not an opportunity that is afforded to a lot of other clubs, but it is an opportunity that is afforded to Fortuna Dusseldorf. Because if you go from 29,000 people in the stands to 54,000 people in the stands, your food and beverage and merchandise sales are going to go up stonks. Now, Fortuna Dusseldorf may well soon get promoted back into the Bundesliga, but in the meantime, finding a genius way to fill your stadium and drive up sales of beer and food merchandise is not a bad plan, not to mention all of the media coverage you get for being a team that's offering free freaking tickets. And Jobst acknowledges this. This is not just some yarn I'm spinning. This is a challenge for clubs that get relegated all the time, trying to fill stadiums that were built for the league above when you're in the league below. They apparently weighed just lowering ticket prices, but they didn't want to make it look like they were just trying to fill the seats. So naturally, their next step was to try and shake up the entire footballing economy. But for all of those people that are claiming there is going to be some massive impact on the infrastructure of the footballing economy as a whole, after having looked at this entire situation, I have to say that's probably not what's going to happen here. This is a very specific situation where it makes sense for Fortuna Dusseldorf to put butts in seats so that they can make that money back, and honestly, probably come away with a lot more money than they were making before, which, even if you're a fan of the club, is great news. Not to mention the fact that you don't have to buy freaking tickets anymore. But it is very easy to get lost in the allure of football for all, as Jobst calls it. He said, we want to give something back, to open it to the fans regardless of what their personal price barrier is. Let's open it and see what is going to happen. And honestly, the vibe I got from a lot of this was they just kind of want to see what'll happen, and they think it might be a huge success. Dusseldorf Mayor Stefan Keller is on board. He said you can feel that something new starts today that could ignite a potential revolution in football. And even though I just spent a video talking to you about how free tickets make sense for Fortuna Dusseldorf, but probably aren't going to make sense for a lot of other clubs, I can't help getting caught up in the allure of the idea that maybe someday all tickets to all football matches will be free, and fans will just be able to enjoy their team, as I think should be a right. Or maybe you should do one free ticket game a year sponsored by Walmart. I don't care. I just hope that this works out. I do. I hope it works out for Fortuna Dusseldorf and they put some pressure on some other clubs that are charging too much for tickets. But there is a reason they're doing it, and it's important for everybody to understand that their club probably isn't in the same position as Dusseldorf, so you can't really blame them too much for not charging. If you want to read more about what's going on, then of course you can check out all of the resources in the description, including a great article from the New York Times. And if you enjoyed us putting this together so that you knew what was going on, because I saw these headlines too and had no idea what was going on, then please do like and subscribe. I'm a YouTuber, apparently, and that is something I am supposed to say. And on that note, if you want to keep binge watching videos, I've got a good one for you about a wonder kid that came from nowhere. Seriously, nowhere, according to Google. He didn't come from anywhere. How's that possible? I don't know.